Hello everybody, Coach Isaac here. Today we're going to be learning one of our alpha level strength builders, the depth drop. This is all about being able to jump down from somewhere with a nice strong landing. It's really important that we're not splatting like a pancake when we hit the floor. It's not a death drop, it's a depth drop. We can use the depth drop with lots of our different moves. It helps us to be stronger for them. For example, we can do depth drop into a precision landing somewhere. Or when we're practicing our wall runs, it's important that when we drop back down, we have a strong landing. So that is why the depth drop is super important, and we're gonna practice it today. There are two things we wanna make sure of before we do our depth drop. First one is that we have got some clear space to land. If we're depth dropping right next to some bars or things, we wanna be aware of where we're landing and what's nearby. So make sure we've got some clear space to drop down when we need to. And the second thing is, we want to make sure that we're depth dropping, just landing on our feet, from something that's below our head height. So if I jump up from this bar here, that's above my head height, I need to be able to learn some extra moves like my side rolls or shoulder rolls before I can start jumping off higher things like this. So make sure we're being risky, not reckless. If I'm down somewhere that was below my head height, then I can jump down from there and practice having a strong landing. So to do our depth drop, it's important that we're focusing on a few things. When we land, we want to bend our knees, keep our heels off the ground so we're not landing with our feet flat, and also our arms out just for a bit of balance when we land. My top tip for this is a quiet landing is a good landing. So you can try and see how quietly you can do your depth drop, and that's gonna help make it even stronger. Now, if you're trying to achieve your depth drop at a safe level and making sure you can do it without hurting yourself, it's important to just be able to drop down without falling on your hands or knees when you land. Just being able to land on your feet nice and strong. Doesn't matter if it's a loud one or if it's a quiet one, just landing on your feet for now. Getting a strong depth drop, however, we can start to do it with some other moves and show our coach that we can master it with other moves, like your precision jump, being able to land on a target, or with your wall run like I showed you before, being able to run up a wall and land nice and strong without falling over. That's really important for some strong depth drops. So ask your coaches for some extra ways that you can make your depth drop stronger too. Now, some common mistakes that you might encounter doing the depth drop, some pretty simple ones to spot. First one is when you're landing, having your feet flat and making a lot of noise. This is gonna send a lot of shock up your legs, and as well as that, landing with your legs straight is also not gonna help. You need to bend the knees. And one more thing as well, if you find yourself falling over, think about the fact that you might be leaning too far forwards when you land. We want to have our chest up straight, not leaning forwards. So knees bent, arms out, chest up, like those tips I gave you just before. A really great mindset to use with your depth drop is be aware. If you're standing up really high and there's other people practicing in the space, they might not stop to look up where you are if you're about to jump down. So you need to make sure no one's going to be running in your way or even from under behind you before you drop down. That's really, really important. We're being aware of who's around us and where we're landing. For a challenge either at Risky Kids or at home or outside, wherever you can find somewhere where you can depth drop that's closer to your head height, not too easy, but also not reckless. And we're gonna see how quietly we can land, practicing being like a ninja. So crouching down on the edge and then dropping down and seeing how quietly you can land. You can get your family or your friends at Risky Kids or your coach to see how quietly you can do this. And maybe if you can do it even quieter than your first few goes and get really super quiet, might even earn some Risky Bucks at Risky Kids for this challenge. So that is an awesome challenge for your depth drop. And remember, the depth drop is a great way to build some strength in your legs so you're ready to take on all sorts of other challenges with lots of different moves. So that is our strength builder, the depth drop. Have a go at this silent challenge, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Risky Kids rule.